Kumar, and I'm a CA and a CFA level 3 qualified. I've started my career with Deloitte, and that was some time back in the Middle East. And then I have, while doing my experience with Deloitte, I got an opportunity to work with one of the big 500 companies, Fortune 500 companies, and that was called Allianz Insurance. So I've started my work essentially with them as a senior accountant. Then within a gap of 2 to 3 years, I was promoted to the position of the audit manager, and I've stayed with Allianz Middle East for 5 years. And then after that I moved for a bit to Canada. I've stayed or worked with PwC Canada, Toronto, for 5 6 months, and then finally I moved to Australia. And since then I've been mainly working with Deloitte Australia. I'm working there as a senior accountant. I'm a CA and a CFA level 3. My professional career spans on a period of more than 10 years. During this period, I worked with renowned companies such as Deloitte, PwC, and Allianz Insurance. I've started my career with Deloitte, and I worked for Deloitte in Karachi and in Saudi Arabia. And then from Deloitte, I moved to Allianz Insurance. I worked there as a financial audit manager. And after that, I have joined PwC and eventually joining Deloitte in Australia, Sydney. So that's a brief background about myself. The purpose of this whole discussion is to give you a bit of background on how, if you are trying to be an aspiring accountant or an auditor, what is actually the pathway that you should follow. And I hope that you could learn something from my journey. Yeah. Okay, so if you are starting as a university grad or you are already in the university grad, what I know from my experience is that all these big four firms or even the top 10 firms worldwide, they have these grads programs. And during your vacations in your university, or if you have just finished your university, you could join them in these grad programs. The duration of these programs from the top of my head is around 2 to 3 months. And during the course of these engagements, you would be assessed for your performance on these jobs, and you would be working on live projects such as audit or advisory roles, depending on your, of course, your preferences as well, and depending on the work requirements. And at the end of these 2 to 3 months, you would be assessed for your performance by your supervisors. And so that's one of the pathways to join these big four audit firms. But if you have some experience under your belt working with an audit firm or some commercial experience, you could go to the websites of these big four firms, and they have the whole list of opportunities available there. So when I say big four, of course, the big four audit firms such as KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, and Ernst and Young. So one can go to the website and see the opportunities that they are available. But if you are still a university grad or aspiring to be an accountant or auditor, you could join the grads programs or vocational programs that these companies or firms have. So, okay, so let's now talk about the requirements that you would probably need when you are joining these big four firms. So, essentially, of course, the biggest requirement is the knowledge base that you have. So, I have seen two sort of routes to that. One is that after you finish your college, you could start a professional qualification such as CA or CPA or ACCA. Or if you are studying in a university and you have these accounting or finance as one of your major subjects, also that route I have seen that a lot as well. But you could always complement that with CA and ACCA and these sort of qualifications, because if you are joining and aspiring to be with working with these firms, then you would notice that if you have these professional qualifications, it would add a lot to your resume and your profile. So that is really the essential. And then the second biggest thing is, I believe, is the experience. So no matter uh, uh, the experience is really the key when you get a resume or a CV, and the biggest thing that you look out for is the experience. So when you are actually studying full time, I would suggest that whenever you get time, or even you're you know you are a university student and you get some vacations from your university or holidays periods, or where there is that you could join some of the internships. These internships could be voluntary internships. They won't pay you, or you could get paid jobs as well. That experience would add a lot to your resume. And the skills that you would need once you are in the firm is, of course, it would be very good to have working knowledge of software such as MYOB, or Zero. And if you join any of the accounting or advisory firm, you would notice that these sort of major softwares that they use to engage with their clients. Then another thing that I have noticed over the course of my experience with these big four firms is that they use, of course, your major work would be on Excel. So it is very essential to have a very good knowledge of the operations of Excel. So when I say Excel, it's good to know how the VLOOKUPs or HLOOKUPs or macros, have very basic knowledge of macros. How do they work? Some if formulas. So there are tons and tons of courses that are available online, or you could join a college, to polish your skills of Excel, and that would benefit you a lot when you are joining these firms. And of course, you could mention that in on your CV as well. Yeah.
Okay,
So yeah,
so
let's now we want to go through about a sort of an argument that we hear every now and then, that you need to have a very good and sound CGPA to join these big four firms. Now, I want to, over the course of my experience, what I've noticed is that yes, CGPA, if you have that, of course, that's very good to have. But if you don't have that, you could always overcome that by adding to your profile courses such as MYOB, Zero softwares, and if you have a good knowledge of the good knowledge of and if you have very good communication skills and good knowledge of software such as MS Excel, Microsoft software, you could always overcome that. The Even if you don't have that good CGPA, you could always advertise yourself and be a potential candidate for these big four firms. So it's not necessary to have, it's not the essential or the core requirement to have a great CGPA. Of course, you have it, it's a great thing, but even if you don't have it, you can always complement that by adding all these skills that we just discussed to your profile. Let's talk about the other argument that we normally hear now and then, that you need to have a very top reputable university degree degree from a very reputable university to join the big four audit firms. Well, I think that's not true to a great extent, because what these big four firms really are looking for are people with good sound skills, good communication skills, problem solving skills, and have good working knowledge of software such as MYB, Zero software, and good accounting knowledge. So if you have these skills, it doesn't matter that what background do you have, and so it's really important to polish these skills.